Well, this could be the one that everybody's looking forward to, folks. This is, of course, our incident review of the insane events that transpired yesterday at Outlon Park. Of course, this is the ATK Pro Series, and my name is Ernest Page, and today's proceedings brought to you by ATK and, of course, Mercedes-Benz. We've also got Motorsport South Africa, Kyle Army 9 Hour, and Coach Dave Academy on board with us this year. Two more people on board this year are Marius Roberts, Wayne Riddell, and we've got Daniel Haynes in the virtual commentary booth as well. Jonathan Bentz is going to be leading proceedings off us today. But first, let's just talk about what happened yesterday, Marius. It was arguably one of the most insane events we've ever had, and definitely one of the most action-packed events we've ever had. What are your thoughts so far?
Ernest, we spoke about it a lot yesterday. It's amazing what rain does. It really does mix things up. It brings the best drivers to the top, but it also brings a lot of controversy and a lot of incident. And I know we could probably be here for 3 hours going through the incident reports because Wayne and team were kept very, very busy. But that is what also brings the mix and the surprise. And I think that is what we saw yesterday. There's a lot of strategy involved. You're on a very, very tricky circuit. You add rain to the mix and you end up with one of the best races we've had. So super stoked. I'm glad we are going to be visiting another British circuit, and I'm hoping there'll be more rain for that as well.
More rain indeed. I mean, rain is the ultimate equalizer, and we've got Wayne Riddell with us as well. Wayne, you guys were kept a little bit busy yesterday.
Ernest till midnight last night. It was crazy. No, it really was. It was mental. We normally, on a relative weekend, I go through half a page of notes. By the time we finished and the flag came out last night, I was on to page 3 of notes. So yeah, it was manic. But I think for the most part, the team did really well in getting the penalties dealt with in race. I think I could safely say 85-90% of the penalties were actually sorted out in race store. So kudos to the team. They really did well. We worked hard.
Well, it wasn't just you that had your work cut out for you. The drivers certainly had their work cut out for them because they were trying to navigate those treacherous conditions yesterday. Some drivers did better than others, though. Daniel Haynes, you tipped the winner yesterday, and you were new to the team. Welcome to the team first, and welcome to your first incident review. Have you got your gloves ready, Daniel?
Yeah, I'm just here to witness how this all works, because it's very much a surprise to me that you're willing to air your dirty laundry in public. And so I'm just a bit of a policeman as I stand as a complete sideline as the new guy. I'm not biased towards any driver, but I was a bit lucky with my pick yesterday. So yeah, well done to Jason Absmeyer.
Jason Absmeyer, the man to watch yesterday, but let's see if he was involved in any incidents. And the man is going to lead this incident report today, Jonathan Bentz. I know that you were furiously busy as well till late last night. Certainly one of the more eventful events we've had in the Pro Series of late.
Yeah, well, we can only be as busy as we have electricity, right?
Indeed.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we had to pick it up again this morning. Look, while there was a lot of action on track, and I mean, I know the stewarding team has not even seen anything of the race except the few little incidents that we were given. And yeah, there was a lot of action and a lot of investigating that happened yesterday, but not a lot of penalties. And
Yes,
I mean, I can give you the figures there. I mean, we dished out, including Pro 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 incidents in race, and then 4 post-race penalties. So not awful in terms of quality of driving, because a lot of the incidents were either self-served punishments or just no further action incidents. So very, very busy times, and even at one point us announcing the incorrect car, the driver had gotten the penalty for the incorrect car, but he had gotten it for the correct reason, but the stewards had typed it out wrong. So yeah, we got to take some stuff like that on the chin and work to get better at what we do. And yesterday was manic enough that we've learned a lot from yesterday, and putting extra processes in place to get things a lot slicker.
Jonathan, if I can just jump in there, though, I mean, don't be too hard on yourselves. I don't think I've ever seen so much stuff going on. But I mean, it's a combination of rain and circuit, because I can tell you now, had we have gone to a circuit that everyone knows, maybe like a Barcelona, you wouldn't have had in those rain conditions the same amount of incidents, because it's just such a tricky track, off camber, exceeding track limits is grass, which just turns into an ice rink, so you really are punished, a lot of spray. So for me, I thought the drivers actually did a bloody good job, and we also commentated on the Pro-Am race, and that was a real standout, because sure, there were only 13 cars, not the 27 like we had in the pros, but I thought the guys put on an epic show. The reason guys were falling over each other was the conditions. It wasn't reckless driving or stupid mistakes that we might have seen last year. It was purely the stuff that's going to happen in those conditions.
Yeah, I
Agreed.
look back at last season where we did a similar wet rain race at Nürburgring, and that was a standout race for the entire season, because it was the race that we had the least amount of penalties. So I was expecting similar, and then we did the Pro-Am race yesterday, and the Pro-Am race was quite uneventful as well. I mean, I think there were 2 incidents in total from there. But
Nürburgring's a very different, the Grand Prix circuit is very, very different to what you've got at Outlon Park, So the guys know that circuit well.
Well, Jonathan, you've got a lot to get going here. Jonathan, could you show us exactly what our first incident is? I mean, I'm a little bit nervous to get started with this, because the gloves came off yesterday. There was some good driving, but the gloves certainly did come off yesterday on circuit.
we're going to start with one that kind of... I kind of wish this one was last, but okay, we're doing this one first because it happened very early in the race. This is the incident between Jason Gray and Fenta. So Fenta there rejoining the track in the Bentley, Jason Gray in the Ferrari.
Ooh. Oh my goodness me! Oh my goodness me! Oh, let's look at it from another angle. On board now, Jason Gray heading towards the...
Watch the accelerator. Watch the accelerator.
He keeps it there.
Yep.
Now don't misconstrue that little like jerk
Going to the left.
Yeah, that wasn't. Yeah, you're seeing it in the
This is what I want to see.
Yeah, you'll see a better view of what he's doing with his steering wheel here. So the rear end is out at that point.
Yeah.
And then it butts, and then kind of just like jerks him left there, which is the thing that really nailed Fenta.
So, with regard to the rejoin, was that rejoin a little bit robust? Should he have... Because
that was perfect.
it's up to the driver that's rejoining to make sure that he rejoins safely, correct?
Yeah.
But he did. He slipped in behind. See, he actually backed off, so he didn't run into the McLaren ahead of him. So I thought he rejoined pretty well. I mean, Jason would have seen that to his left as well. So he would have been aware that a car was coming onto track. I think because of that car coming onto the track, he's probably adjusted his racing line, which has given the little twitch on the rear end when he's trying to come on the power. And I think that's what resulted into that little snap.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
But it's a really tricky thing, because I know what Wayne's going to say. He should have lifted off and backed out of it, but dude, the contact's been made. The spun's happened. Whether he kept his foot planted or not, Fenta was always going to end up where he ended up.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
If I can comment, no problem. So, Fenta came into the peripheral view probably about 15-20 meters back. He came into Gray's peripheral view. So Gray had already had sight of him on the left.
Yeah.
At that point is when I say Gray should have predicted that he needed to change trajectory.
Yep.
Because let's have a look here, and I'll tell you where I think Gray should have changed his line. There.
He could have
There
backed off
he should
already.
have. Correct. He could have said, this is not going to end well. But what he did was, he said, let me try and get out ahead of him.
Yeah.
And then when he got to the apex of that little right-hand flick, have a look now, you'll see on the left, you'll see Fenta comes into view now. Gray said, let me try and get it. Damn it, it didn't work. Now he's got himself caught up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you are right, Marius. I was going to say he's got 2 feet. He could have released one of them. But
It wouldn't have made a difference.
So my question is,
Yeah.
how bad was the infraction by Gray? Gray's racing his race over here. How bad is that infraction? Yes, it caused the car in front to spin out. But are we going to call this a racing incident, or are we going to
No.
penalize Gray?
We did penalise Gray. We penalised him 15 seconds.
Okay.
I think this is a demonstration exactly the difference between sim racing and real life racing, because
Yep.
sim racing have got a bit of reputation of not using their left foot, and
Yep.
only ever using their right foot.
Correct.
If this was in a real car, Gray would never have held his foot on the throttle.
Never.
100% correct. 100% correct. So yeah, we did do this. This was an in-game penalty, and we did dish it out as 15 seconds. And the reason why it was not 5 seconds was because Fenter was turned around.
Marius,
We've had this
crying in the background there.
we had this debate, Marius. If he didn't drive through him, if Gray realized, oopsie, I made shit here, and he didn't keep his foot planted, then chances are that Fenter would have got a wobble, survived it, and Gray would have sat with 5 seconds instead of 15 seconds.
I'm going to say well done for giving Fenter so much kudos. He would never have saved that first tap. That's what I'm saying to you. Whether Jason's right or wrong, and he should have lifted off and at that point of contact in those conditions, there's no ways Fenter was catching that car, so he was going to get spun around either way. I think the thing is, Jason could have adjusted his line a little bit earlier. I think he thought he could sneak through there, and unfortunately what happened is because of the wet conditions in the dry, that would never have been an issue. He would have made that little adjustment and he would have powered past him, I can tell you now. So
Yes.
it's just a little rookie error in terms of that, but I would have been more comfortable with the 5 seconds. And last year what Daniel was saying there as well, that some racers have that tendency to keep their foot planted. But I don't think there's too much that you would have done differently in the real world as well. Once that contact was made, you would have lifted off, but he would have spun anyway.
Yeah. Daniel, anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I do think that you would. There's no way you keep your foot on the throttle if you're T-boning a car. it just wouldn't happen, because it's going to cause major consequences. But
The thing is, we play with the rules we're given, and if you know you're not going to
true.
get any more damage in this situation, you're more than likely going to just keep it pinned.
I think so. But sim racers do need to learn to use their left foot a little bit
Agreed.
more occasionally.
Correct.
Okay,
No,
I
it's
think
a great point, that Daniel and Wayne. I mean, in that incident, I know he was literally trying to snowplow him out the way so he can carry on with his race, because he realised that the spin's already happened.
Yeah.
But just by lifting off, he kind of would have saved himself a lot of
10
hassle.
seconds, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think let's move on to the next one.
That was beautiful. We didn't even fight.
No fighting yet.
That's still
No
coming. That's
fighting
still
yet.
coming. Okay, so this incident was possibly, I think it was the third or fourth incident of the first lap, and the culmination of these incidents called the safety car. So this was the incident that we were like, okay, we're going to call the safety car. So Patterson runs off track there, and then unfortunately the guys in front of him skittles.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm glad you cleared that up, because I mean, obviously all we saw in commentary on the replay was the one incident and one car spinning. We're like, why have you called safety car? But thanks for clearing that up. Look, Patterson, the problem here is he's rejoining off the grass, so there is unfortunately no ways he's going to stop that car so late coming onto the tar. So fully to blame.
Let me give you quickly just a rundown. At the point of this contact, the competitors we were already investigating was 22, 29, 19, 96, 314, 187, 124, 29, and 123. Okay, so that was the list, and we were into lap 2, and it was like, okay, this needs to calm down. So that's why.
Yeah. I think Kieran had more than enough time, actually, having looked at that replay again, for him to have got that car stopped.
I don't think he would have done. I think he had lost control of the car completely. And,
But check here, there's back on,
No.
he's fine.
in the
Look at
dry,
that.
possibly, but in the wet, not a chance.
But how did the Bentley in front of him make it?
Because he was already on the brakes 100 metres further back.
Yeah, but
I'll tell you what happened.
have a look. They've both gone off the track here, Daniel. And look, Kieran comes on, no problem. Watch them. Follow my leader. Back on the track at the same point.
Have we got
One
on
breaks.
board with Kieran to see
One-
whether he
one-
keeps his foot planted as well?
One breaks and the other one doesn't, essentially.
Yeah.
I think Pedersen was caught up in what we call target fixation.
Look at
He was
Patterson's throttle.
so
yeah.
busy watching.
He's
Yeah, he
off.
was-
He's on. He's
on.
well, he's on
On.
there.
He's on the
So
gas
he went
for
full
way too
throttle.
long there.
He was on it again, wasn't he?
Yeah,
He thought that he
just-
didn't know there was the hairpin. He didn't know it was the hairpin coming.
No, I
Telling
think
him
he
now.
I think he
comes
thought he had
off grass
recovered.
and then flew
Okay,
past.
he had full
Yeah.
throttle as soon as he hit the target.
It's
Yeah.
That-
he could have.
That's
He
a
was
bad
just-
move on his part. That's a very bad move on his part because
Correct.
again, if that's a dangerous maneuver, getting hard on the throttle. He's
100%.
supposed to try and slow the car down there. I mean, I like Kieran Patterson, a great guy, but that was a silly move there, man.
Hence the
And-
reason why he got the drive-through.
Yeah, and can I tell you, the killer for him, was the Bentley in front of him because it did the exact same thing and
Yes.
made the corner.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
cut and dry.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think he was caught up with a lot of target fixation. He was so busy watching up ahead that he followed right off the track. And then he realized this caught him off balance. He was unsettled. He rejoined, and I don't think he was looking forward. I think he was looking to the rearview mirrors, and then it was, oh shit, parking lot in front of me. That's what I think.
Can I play devil's advocate here and say maybe Patterson wasn't sure about which corner was coming up?
Yeah,
He knew. These guys have done it. They've done hours of practice.
I'm just putting it out there. In these conditions, maybe he wasn't sure. Maybe.
I think he was
just-
unsettled.
Me.
I
Sorry.
just think,
Unsettled. Yeah.
I just think he found the tar and the car was pointed straight, and he gave it a burst to the corner and literally
correct.
just misjudged his braking.
Yeah, he arrived to a parking lot. It was an absolute parking lot. Look at this.
But I can tell you now, if those cars weren't there, he would never have made the corner.
No, he wouldn't have. He got straight to the traffic.
Exactly.
We got Byron Lewis in the comments here saying, and I quote, "Now that was full send."
Full send and no sense.
So that was an in-game drive-through penalty. So
Happy with that.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the next incident. This was the
we're so
safe
friendly.
car incident.
This is one that turned Quaid around, is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Quay Claessens and Jordan.
Jordan.
Sherritt.
So very
And
interesting.
This was
in
under
part.
safety car, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Correct,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Oh.
We had bunched them up ready for the restart.
So something to note here, is, especially when you see the in-car view of Sherritt, is that Quaid disappears into a mist at that point and completely whites out. At that point, watch
it.
here. So he disappears, and at that point, Jordan thinks he's going,
Yeah.
and then it was.
Can I tell you, watch Jason Abschmeyer with some amazing reflexes because he was following Jordan. And
Yep.
luckily he was a bit further behind. He swerved to the right and missed checking him. Watch him come through here. Watch it. Whoa, and we missed it on that shot, but he literally almost got tagged in that as well. He actually spoke about that in the post-race interview, saying that he got very lucky there. Watch him come through here. Check. Whoa.
There we go.
Oh,
Yeah.
My word.
Claessens looked like he hit the wall as well there.
Yes,
After
it
that,
does.
obviously picking up some even more damage then. What a pity.
But this was 15 seconds added to the end, and I mean,
I
Wayne,
think
you
that's
said,
fair, to be honest.
you said have a look at the whiteout, but at the end
Yeah.
of the day, we understand why it happened. He wasn't being malicious, but
No,
those are the things that
correct.
happen in those conditions. So you've got to be
Yeah.
super aware and super alert. So it feels like a pretty fair penalty.
We think it was as well. We had the debate on it, but we felt that 15 seconds is the middle of the road, and it's the right penalty.
The difference between the drive-through in the previous incident and this one being 15 seconds is you can see on the onboard in Sherritt that he was off throttle. It just took him by surprise. He was
Correct.
no intent there whatsoever. However, you can't avoid the fact that he did cause an incident. He has to
Correct.
take responsibility
Correct.
towards it.
Absolutely. If there was contact and Claessens was able to catch it, all right, for some miraculous reason he was able to catch it because Hampton kind of helped Claessen. It could have been worse for Claessen actually, but the reality is that if Claessen caught it, we would have given Sherritt 5 seconds. But because he impeded another competitor, I don't care if it was his teammate or not.
Yeah.
For us, it's we don't see teammates, we see competitors, and we see numbers. And as I said, I look at my list here. I don't have a single name on 3 pages here. It's just numbers. So for us, he turned the car around, and for that, 15 seconds.
What a pity. What a pity. Quay Claessens coming off big time second best there and picking up more damage straight after
On
that.
the way across.
What's the damage, with regard to the damage on the car, I mean, what is Quay Claessens' experience after the fact, after the incident?
He pitted immediately, if I'm not mistaken, from there.
Yeah,
So that
he did.
aggravated his situation a lot because now all the cars are bunched up. I think if he hadn't had that second hit, he would have possibly been able to continue as Sherrod did. Sherrod obviously didn't fix his car. Aero not being so important in this weather situation.
What a pity. And there we see our winner just threading his way through the carnage over there.
This is classic. Check off fast he comes in here. Watch the blue Merc. Watch out. Yo. Wow.
Motorsport there. She giveth and she taketh away.
Skid mark there for sure.
Yeah. Like a factor 10.
Okay, so we've got a very interesting one coming up now.
Challenge us, come on.
This is with Chris Heineke and Fenter. Heineke, under safety car conditions, keep in mind, coming out of the pits. And the overtake happens there.
Overtake under safety car conditions.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, let's go see that again. I need that above you.
Can I talk you through some of the rule processes?
Please do.
All right. Heineke leaves the pits. I'm going to point out to you in a second. Crosses the control line. Coming up to it now, there's a line that crossed the track. That's the control
There we
line. The FIA regulation says after this point, he's racing. So as soon as he crosses that control line, he's now racing. He's accelerating, and the race is on.
He's
At
on the
this
circuit
point,
officially.
here, all right, that's what they call the feed line. This line down the middle, that's the feed line. The yellow car is not allowed to cross that line. That's the control line. If he crosses that feed line, he's in a world of hurt.
Yeah.
This basically forces, in such a situation, the two cars are forced to go side by side to the next corner. If this was not a safety car situation, the commentators and everybody else would have said, look at this drag race to the corner, and you would have only declared the net result winner by the time you got to the corner. However, because he crossed the control line by leaving the pits, race is already on. At the point of the bleed line, the yellow car was ahead of the white car, and therefore white car is guilty of overtaking under safety car.
Well, look, Fenter would only have seen him at the point where they were merging on the feed line. So at that point is where he would have backed off. He wouldn't have seen him from start straight. He would never have seen him.
In the real race, he would have had it over his radio.
Yeah, he would have had it over the radio.
From this point. What's his peripheral view from this point?
There. Yeah.
Yes, it's a tricky one, because from that point of view, it feels like it's neck and neck. You know what I mean? If I look at that,
absolutely. It's an unlucky, but at that point, look at that. He's ahead.
Yeah.
So that's clinical. We have to be clinical in our interpretation of the rules.
Can I see Heineke? That's what I want to see. What is his throttle input jack? Because for me, it feels like he backs off as he's about to feed in.
Because he's offline for the kink.
Yeah, he backs off.
Yeah, you see, but that's also, I suppose that's what makes it quite tricky for Fenter, because, you know what I mean? He's backing off. He's kind of gone onto the grass to try and give Heineke space, and then Heineke also backs off. And
so what kind of penalty did you guys assign to Fenter?
So it was not an in-game penalty. This is a post.
This is a penalty we're going to decide right now.
I would say that in a normal racing situation in real life, where you've got a spotter, you've got a radio on you, it would be a cut and dry penalty. He would have known that a car was coming out of the pits. He would have to relinquish this place. As it is now, he hasn't got a spotter on board. He's got spray. He comes around the corner.
Watch him.
He looks on his track map. He can see that there's a car coming out of the pits as well. He's got radar. He's got
a close proximity radar. Correct.
And your in-game spotter does say car exiting the pits.
But he did take avoiding action as well. Check him. Look where he ends up here. He actually turns left onto the grass.
I think he knew because Heineke coming out of the pits.
Because he knows Heineke's reputation, so he's taking a white bird.
Daniel, I do agree with you on this one. That personally, I don't think he should be given a penalty. But to be contrarian here, he does have all the information to know that there's another car that's coming out next to him or potentially in front of him.
He does, but having been in that situation, it's very hard to process all that information and drive in the rain. Whereas a radio call from a spotter just saying, car coming out the pits, drop behind him, that's what you would have in real life. He hasn't got that for sure.
Can I throw another thing in here? I mean, there's nothing on their Delta or anything that says safety car, is there?
No.
No.
You see, so this for me is what makes it really tricky, because in a real race situation, there would be safety car boards up everywhere. It would show on his onboard. So he's
There would
also
be flags waving.
Can I help
exactly.
Can I help you quickly? This is quite late into the safety car intervention. This is already at the point where William had come online, told everybody the following cars can now pass the safety car. So this is already passed. They've passed the safety car. They're unlapping themselves. They're now going to the back of the pack. So this is very late into the safety car intervention. This is not the first input to.
If the safety car was incorporated in the game officially, you would have an actual warning about that.
Yeah.
Whereas there's an unofficial incorporation into it. He might have completely forgotten all about it
and given the place back.
He'd be unlucky then.
It does look like these guys are going pretty quickly here. It does look like they're going quite fast.
They're trying to catch the back of the pack, you see. So that's what Wayne was saying. That's why they're gapping it. But for me, honestly, I think it's a bit harsh to give him a penalty. Given what we are saying, it's almost like a stern warning, because if you guys weren't dealing with 35,000 incidents, it might very well have been a case of, listen, you overtook under safety car, just give the place back, and there would have been no foul, no harm. But it's very tricky in this situation, because it is touch and go. He didn't just overtake him and dive him into a corner. You know, it was at that 50-50 to pit lane merging with racetrack scenario. I mean, it was just really unfortunate.
I've got some commentary here in the chat box over here. Aldo Bellingen says, that was tight. I would have made the same mistake myself, to be honest. I think the drivers are sympathizing a little bit here, and I'm sure because Dan spent some time on the sim as well. The drivers are sympathizing a little bit because it's very close.
Yeah.
But in this case, I definitely think that safety car period was well known amongst everybody, and it is very clear in the rules that you cannot overtake under safety car. So I think under technicality and setting a precedent for safety cars that we have in the future, I think that we give a 5-second penalty, which would bump him behind Chris Heineke under this situation. I don't know how they finished, but that's irrelevant. If we give him 5 seconds, he relegates the position back to Chris.
5 seconds isn't too much. I would be okay with a warning, but 5 seconds isn't too bad.
As the head steward, we go with 5 seconds. We fix what they could have fixed on track.
Yeah.
In my driver's briefing, I gave it clear to everybody. If
you would have gone way more than 5 seconds if it was a clear cut and dry. So I think that's probably fair enough.
My approach was, gentlemen, if you gain an unfair advantage, you pass somebody when you should have, I'm watching you. You've got 2 corners to relinquish that position. You fall in behind the guy, no harm, no foul, we go racing.
Yeah.
That was
and in this case, he could have fallen back. He could have fallen back.
Given the place back.
He could have fallen back.
So are we correct then? Because I think this is what we need to explain, is that we are actually sympathizing with the fact that this wasn't a blatant overtake under safety car. I'm just dive bombing you into the next corner because you're dithering. But because of that, it's not 15 seconds, it's 5 seconds. Is that what you're saying?
I think the alternate would have been a drive-through.
Correct.
Under safety car, for sure.
Under safety
it
car,
makes us feel better in chat. Ben said I crashed out of P6 with 5 minutes to go, so 5 seconds doesn't matter. So he seems to be happy with it as well.
He's actually commented here and says 5 seconds is fair. So Fenter's happy with that one. Looks like
Listen, for me, overtaking under safety car is as good as racing under red flag. For me, it's a bloody dangerous situation, and you guys everyone needs to sit up and pay attention under a safety car. There's a reason. We've called a safety car because people are potentially in danger. So what Jonathan has said is if that was a normal, no rain, all that kind of stuff, an overtake under yellow, it would have been a drive-through. We've looked at all of this. We said it's so close to call, but we need to be setting a very clear precedent to say the rules are the rules. The guy did overtake under yellow. 5 seconds is the least penalty we can give as the stewards, and that's why we've adopted it. The 5 seconds kind of resets the wrong. It takes the white car behind the yellow car, which is what should have happened in race, and that would have reset the thing. So that's all we've done. We've given them the least available penalty.
Just one other point. Obviously, I mean, Ernest, I think, picked up on it. These guys are racing. In theory, in safety car conditions, they wouldn't be doing that. So if you look at any of the real racing scenarios, there's a minimum speed that they have to do. So what these guys are doing here is wrong. Also trying to, both of them, trying to catch onto the back of the pack. But we don't
they're
have...
trying to catch up with the safety car.
Exactly. We don't have that, unfortunately, in the simulator to allow that, you know what I mean?
Correct.
So the guys are gapping it. So I think make that statement as well. Like both of you should not be going full taps here. You kind of need to be, I don't know, 70% or whatever it might be, 60%. I don't know.
So a virtual safety
guy
car
was
in
saying
real
the
life
safety
is
car
60
was
k's.
quite
Eh? You know that.
Yeah.
A virtual safety car is 60 k's.
The guys were saying the safety car is going. I'm checking the chats now. The guys are saying the safety car was going quite fast. And speaking of safety car, are we going to do
was so
an
fast,
incident
it
report on the? Yeah, are we going to do
spun
an
out.
incident report on the safety car?
Please, can we see that replay? It was
Yeah,
beautiful,
that's the only reason
Jonathan.
why I'm here. I want to see the crash.
No, I didn't spin. I just ran off track because I was moaning at the stewards.
Okay.
True story.
I get
True
it.
story. We
What was the grip like out there, Jonathan?
Very, very little grip, that's for sure. My tires were not up to temperature. And I
Listen,
did not have to put up on the car.
Unless you had spikes and a plow, you were never going to get grip out on the grass at Oulton Park in the wet. But that was cool. Okay, happy with that. I think that's
Okay,
cool.
so the final incident we have for tonight is the incident between Grobler, number 13, and Bellingham, number 38. Both cars
This is
coming-
the one. This is the one. Oh, Bellingham
Yeah.
down the inside. Krobler gets a bit of a touch. Did Krobler turn in on him? Did Bellingham swing? We're going to find out in a second. Here we go. Oh. That's such a classic racing incident, isn't it? Such a classic sort of accident.
Well, JC was loving that part of the track because he'd spun out there on his own a little bit earlier.
All
So
the
he
time.
really did own that bit of retail, that landscape there.
I think it's very important here to note their track positions at each point of that overtake there. Bellingham got right alongside and braked, keeping in mind that they are too wide. He braked
Early.
yeah.
Yeah.
Grobler braked a little bit late to try and fight for his position, and
Go
his
down the outside.
he was meant. You see how close he is to the right? That's how far he had to stay in that corner. And unfortunately, they tapped very close to the turn-in point. So it's hard to say what his trajectory was. But
He went
if
for that apex, or he just
Yeah.
went for the middle of the circuit there.
yeah,
Look,
but
I think
circuit there.
when I first saw this, I was going, Eldor, all your fault. But looking at it now, he was feathering the brake. He was actually trying to back out of it, give him a chance to recover. And it was the slightest of taps in the end. So it's a tricky one, eh?
This is racing.
Bellingham was doing everything that was expected of him to do.
Yeah, yeah,
He was faultless in what we expect a driver to do.
yeah. Looking at it now, I'm agreeing with you. Because at first view, when we saw it once in the replay in the race, I was like, oh, trouble. But look there, early on the brakes. And again, he's backed out of the contact too.
Correct. No, he's done the textbook. He's done what we always ask the guys to do.
I think Daniel called it racing incident for me.
I think so.
yep, that's what we called in the race as well.
We didn't say racing incident, we said self-served.
Yeah, but it is a racing incident too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's sure.
Yeah.
All I'm saying to you is that we kind of
He's
like
been punished.
no punishment. Yeah, he's punished.
He's been punished already,
Punishment is self-served. Yeah.
AC Krobler punished himself over and over in yesterday's proceedings, didn't he?
A little bit.
A bit of a rough race.
We
for
saw him spinning across the grass more than once, I believe.
I'm sure he'll be back faster and stronger next time, but unfortunately this time he gets the short end of the stick. Although Bellingham then gets to go on. I think he was
He
running
finished.
third at one stage.
Yeah,
Dropped
I
down
think
to about sixth, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he finished 6th or 7th. I think he made a mistake late in the race that ended up costing him, but he was running well. I think he was in 5th at one point.
And this
That
is
it?
what we were wondering about, if this was going to cause any issues later on.
Yeah, yeah.
Looks like this is cut and dry as well. Wow. Fairly easy night tonight for the team, eh?
Jeez, Daniel, you've done well for your first instant report. We haven't
I
had
can't believe
anything
it.
that we
I'm
disagreed
sat
on.
here dumbfounded. I heard all of these stories about Marius the villain, and it agreed with everybody. I mean, what's going on?
No, because you see, the thing is, if it's obvious and it's truthful and it's right,
Ooh.
then there's nothing to argue about.
I can think back to Bathurst, some incidents from there.
Yeah,
that
but you
seem
know what?
obvious.
If you remember, Joel Tasman and I usually sided against you two.
Yeah.
You and Wayne. So it wasn't me on my own.
I came in halfway through the season. Poor Jonathan was the one that was shell shocked, not me.
That's what they brought you in, Wayne.
But the thing is, what we found is that now with this conflict, or conflicts air quote, we get to now build our cases as strong as possible. Each person's opinion is then, carefully formulated versus just, this is what I think and so it should be. Everybody comes with their various arguments and we discuss these things, and if we don't agree on something at the end, then so be it. But usually the right outcomes are what happens.
But even if it's not, Ernest, we all agree with the stewards. I mean, at the end of the day, I can disagree with them. That's what's crucial in the real racing scenario. I can bitch and moan and drop my lip, but the penalty's served, and I've got to suck it up and go racing next week. That's the reality.
Are you just trying to find something to disagree with Ernest on?
No. No, I'm actually agreeing with what he's saying, but it's just important that we support you guys, whether we agree in opinion or not. Yeah. Your decision is final. And
I want to add something.
Yeah.
Have you guys noticed how many less rage quits we are getting and more people sitting in the pits watching the rest of the race?
Or maybe the action looked better from the pit lane. I mean, they could watch the stream live from there.
Oh my word. They were stood over the wall just taking photos.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I saw the guys were sulking. 2 or 3 guys thought, like, a bugger this, I'm just going to watch the race rather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I suppose that's progress in terms of they know the rage quit is a penalty, but I mean, you look at we mentioned earlier, Daniel Rowe had a crash with his connectivity, got back on and still went just to try and hopefully score some points. So at the end of the day, a lot of the guys sitting there and sulking. In a race like this, anything can and probably will happen. So rather, pick up your bottom lip and get out there and circulate. Who knows? You might still end up scoring points. So,
well, look what happened. We had someone started from pit lane, and where did he end up?
Yeah, my favorite moments ever. Love it.
So yeah.
What a crazy turn of events, guys. What a crazy turn of events. But this is the ATK Pro Series, and that's why we're all big fans of the sport, fans of the ATK Pro Series, powered by Mercedes-Benz. Marius Roberts, any closing thoughts from you? I think, what can we look forward to in the next race? It's not going to be a rain race, unfortunately. I was hoping for another rain race. I think we should at least have another one in the future, but I know you had an exciting time yesterday. So any final thoughts from you before we go to the end of the show?
Well, sadly, we're not going GT racing tonight because of load shedding, so that's been pushed out by a week. But look, fantastic racing. Heading to Misano next time around, another very interesting circuit. Guaranteed it's going to be dry, so we'll get a proper true sprint race. A lot of talk around the ballast. It is what it is. It's going to punish Oaks. It's all going to end up fair and square at the end of our 6-round championship. But for me, I just think we've really onto a cracker. Whether you agree with the ballast or not, it is there, and it's giving us very, very close racing, and we're going to go down to the final round where it's going to be decided, and that's something we didn't have last year. So I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of all the different conditions that we're racing under. The new circuits that we've got this year, I think, are brilliant. We're all going to be racing in the UK again, which is cool, but I think really a fantastic season so far, and I think the drivers have really stood up. I think we've seen massive improvements compared with last year. A shout out to the Pro-Am guys, I mentioned it earlier. I thought they put on a brilliant show in the really tricky conditions.
No, indeed, the drivers were doing so well yesterday. I think there's definitely been a level up in the competitive ability of some of the drivers, the skills of some of these drivers. In fact, most of these drivers. Daniel, one last word from you. We're changing cars. The guys now have the option to change cars going forward. What do you think is going to be happening as the season progresses and the drivers now have the option to change?
I'll be surprised if they make too many changes, to be honest. I think you tend to get settled into the car. It'd be different. It'd be quite a big move to suddenly switch manufacturers and then come up with an entire new setup. But perhaps if they think ahead, they look at the 2 new tracks coming up and think, no, I'll definitely have an advantage with one car over another, then they might take the possibility. They'll be testing Misano now in all of the different brands. You can be sure of that. So we'll have to see. But I would be surprised if there's a lot of change.
Wayne Riddell, you've had your work cut out for you. Are you looking forward to a more quiet Misano race?
I don't know if it's going to be more quiet. I think we're getting into the sharp edge of the championship now. So I think it's 3 races. Those few guys who feel they might have taken the wrong selection have the choice of a reset, so they might want to change cars. So I think we're going to see a fistful of guys changing it up, which might either be beneficial or worse off for them. Let's see what that does. I think we have our top runners now get another passenger for the next round, so that's going to bring in a dynamic for Misano. I don't think we're going to have it easy. It's not going to be a bowl of popcorn and a slush here, that's for sure. I think we're going to be busy. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, guys.
I might have my popcorn ready though, just in case. Jonathan,
Well, are you going to sit in the pit lane and eat it?
watch the action. Well, we are watching the action from the comforts of our own home, even during the rain. Jono, is that it? Jono, is there nothing else left for us to look at?
No, man. I mean, I wish there was more. Not.
No, listen, guys. There is more. We got a couple of on the web. People asked us to look at some incidents. Only the ones that are deserving of a penalty end up in the show.
That should have included a safety car spin. I'd like to see that over again on repeat. Can we start round 4, Daniel, our director, with that?
Let me tell you. When with Jonathan, I said, Jonathan, are you ready to go out? Yes. I said, make sure you got warm tires, make sure you got warm brakes, make sure you got warm tires, make sure you got warm brakes. And I just kept on slowly, get the brakes hot. And then, but the problem is with the steward panel is not just Jonathan and myself. There's a couple of us. So by the time, and I read out that list of competitors that we were looking into at the time of calling the safety car. So we were scratching around, debating incidents. Jonathan was out on his own in the car. There was this whole debate going on, and Jonathan was like, can somebody please tell me where I am? And while he was having this whole fight with us, he like ran out of track or talent or heat or something. But yeah, when I looked up, I just saw Jonathan was not on the track. I was like, oh shite.
He also had 3 commentators willing him into the grass.
Oh yeah,
it was inevitable.
We were using our commentator's curse to fully effect on that.
No, I promise you, it was manic, guys. It was manic. Really, it was.
No, listen, John, well done, bud, because I promise you, that's what we were saying. You don't want to be a safety car driver in those conditions, because not easy, eh?
Marius, it's not just safety car. If he was just doing safety car, I think he'd be okay. You must. People don't know he is race control with regards to spaceship control. He's the one who's talking to base station. He's talking to the stewards. He's typing text to say, this car under observation, that car under observation, this penalty. He's doing all of that, and he's got all this commentary in his ears because we're having this debate in this room in the Discord chat, and he's driving car in a wet condition. So I want to stand up and tip my hat.
And yeah, they say men can't multitask. What a
Well,
they can't. They crash.
I've got one more joke for Jono, and that's from the chat. Cameron says, thank goodness Jono wasn't driving the medical car. So folks, that is it from us over here. A fantastic job by everyone involved. Drivers, team, stewards, commentators, I think. But what an incredible event. I look forward to more action for the ATK Pro Series going into round 4 at Misano. My name is Ernest Page, joined by Marius Roberts, Wayne Riddell. We got Daniel Haynes, Jonathan Bentz here as well today for this, the incident report, powered by Mercedes-Benz, MSA Kailami 9 Hour, and Coach Dave Academy. We'll see you guys next week for the Gran Turismo event, and of course for the next round of the ATK Pro Series. See you guys there.